The U.S. economy added 353,000 jobs last month, blowing past expectations. Economists had predicted gains of about 185,000, but Friday's figure released by the Labor Department was nearly double that. Additionally, the unemployment rate held steady at 3% despite predictions that it would rise. Those numbers were so strong that even a top White House economic advisor under former President Trump was compelled to acknowledge the good news.
I know many of my conservative friends are trying to drill holes in this report. But you know what, folks? It is what it is. It's a very strong report. Not every economic stat should be viewed through a political lens. I've been in this business a very long time, and sometimes you just have to throw away the ballot box and just recognize the numbers. They are what they are. This was a very strong report.
Refreshing and sadly rare there. But despite the strong jobs report, new polling from NBC News shows that just 36% of registered voters approve of how President Biden has been handling the economy. And when asked who they would trust more to handle the economy, 55% said Donald Trump, compared to 33% who said Biden. Joining us now to help break down the numbers, senior political editor for NBC News, Mark Murray. Mark, morning. Good to see you this morning. So let's the economy first weigh in on that. That's bad news for a president running for re-election. Talk to us, though, also about some other issues and tell us who voters trust more.
Yeah, you're exactly right that economic handling difference between President Biden and Donald Trump really seems to be the headline on that issue battery. And what's worth noting, we've asked that question going back to the 2020 presidential election, Jonathan, when at the time, then President Donald Trump had a 7-point advantage over Joe Biden on that question 1 month before the 2020 election. Now it's in Trump's direction by 22 percentage points. And on other issues, our poll has Donald Trump with a 35-point lead when it comes to handling the border and immigration, 21 points on crime and violence, 11 points on improving America's standing in the world. President Biden leads on abortion and handling that by 12 percentage points, and on treating immigrants and protecting immigrant rights by 17 percentage points.
So to be clear, Election Day, a long way off. Lots of things can change. And there's been some other polls recently pretty positive for President Biden. But this one is undoubtedly rough for the White House, as so is his approval rating that you have in the poll there. Tell us about that and how that number compares with other incumbents in this point in their presidencies.
Yeah, Jonathan, our poll has President Biden's approval rating at 37% among registered voters, 60% disapprove of his job. That's down from November when our poll showed President Biden's approval rating at 40 percentage points. And compared to past presidents, we have not had a president with that low of an approval rating facing re-election. Donald Trump at one point was in the 30s during his presidency, but a year before his re-election bid, he was back into the low 40s. Our poll shows that President Biden's approval rating right now at 37%. You have to go back to George W. Bush's second term to find an American president with that low of an approval rating in our NBC News polling.
And the overall head-to-head matchup has Trump up on Biden 47 to 42%. But Mark, tell us how that number changes if Donald Trump would be convicted in one of the trials he faces.
Yeah, our poll saved to the very last question, Jonathan, a question on, all right, we asked you what your presidential ballot on the head-to-head versus Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And as you ended up mentioning, Donald Trump has a 5-point advantage within the margin of error over President Biden. But on the very last question of the poll, when asked, OK, who would you end up voting for if Donald Trump is convicted of a felony in the next year? The numbers change. It goes to President Biden, 45%, Donald Trump, 43%. So a 2-point lead for President Biden on that survey. And again, that's a hypothetical. It's worth noting that we have a long ways to go, not only in the presidential election, but also when it comes to Donald Trump's legal calendar.
Yeah, and even the Republican primary is still ongoing. Lastly, Mark, talk to us about this. This is an eye-grabbing number. The numbers on the necessary, that they believe the candidate has a necessary mental and physical health to be president.
Yes. So when we compare Donald Trump and Joe Biden on that, Donald Trump has a 23-point advantage on having the necessary mental and physical fitness to be president. And Jonathan, it's worth noting, again, we asked that question in 2020, right before that presidential election, and the score was pretty much tied. And so we do see an erosion for President Biden in our polling, not only in the economy, but also on this fitness question.
Only 23% suggest that Biden would be fit to be president again. That's a tough number there. Senior political editor for NBC News, Mark Murray, thank you for walking through all that with us. We appreciate it. And thanks to all of you for getting up way too early with us on this Monday morning. Morning Joe starts right now.